Perhaps we can make a little summation or close another link in our seemingly never-ending chain of stories. But over these last days, we have asked the question, what is the difference between perception and apperception? Perception being sensory awareness and apperception being conscious awareness. Perhaps it's now time to follow on that question with the question, where do they meet in us, this sensory awareness and conscious awareness? And first there's a reminder of a very old and profound anecdote. It's about that prince who did not know himself. But one day he was riding out hunting when thirst drove him to a clear pond. And when he looked in the pond, there was an image. And he turned to one of his close companions and said, "What is that?" And his companion, being somewhat of a wise being, said, "Why, sire, that is your reflection." And the prince asked, "Where do they meet, this reflection and me?" And with that, the advisor put his hand in the water and splashed it in the prince's face. So the question is, where do they meet in us, this sensory awareness, perception, and conscious awareness, apperception? Here's a story about a great Zen master by the name of Ronin. Now, Ronin lived in a garrison town. This was where his monastery was located. But he had a very unusual way of teaching, which drew to him the number of samurais who were located in this place. And many of them came to him for his teachings. And one day, some of his samurai students invited him to a cup of tea. And whilst they were in conversation over their teacups, one of the samurai students asked the master, or actually said to him, "Well, master, there's no doubting your abilities in Zen, but you could not best any of us samurais on the field of combat." "Oh," said the Master Ronin, "well, let's try it." And the samurais were very surprised. "Do you mean you would allow us to meet you in the arena?" "Why, yes," said Master Ronin. And so it was arranged. They went out to the jousting arena. And Master Ronin was handed a sword. But he said, "I have practiced non-himsa, non-hurting. This is the Buddhist way, so I do not want your sword." But he took out of his belt one of those little whisks that one sweeps the flies away with. And he said, "I will use this." And he said, but don't worry, if you strike me, I won't blame the fact that I'm just using this fly whisk. So it happened. The samurai lined up, and one after the other, they challenged Lord Ronin. But after each challenge, Lord Ronin not only fended off their strikes, but he even was able to strike them through their seemingly impenetrable defenses. This was, of course, a very great surprise to the samurai. But when Lord Ronin went back to the monastery, one of his monks confronted him and said, Master, there is, as has been said, no doubt about your abilities in the world of Zen. But tell us, how were you able to best the samurais in the arena? What was the answer from your experience of the place where conscious awareness and sensory awareness meet, that the Master Ronin gave to the monks? What answer did he give to the questioner? There's no doubting your abilities, your Zen awareness. But how were you able to best the samurai with their sensory awareness, honed, trained, acute, combative? Where do they meet in us? What was the answer Zen Master Ronin gave?
Answer he would have given, that two things that stand out to me are awareness and then talking about sensory. As soon as a thought arises, that's sensory. That's what I call sensory.
Mm-hmm.
Operating from awareness would be from no thought. There's nobody there that's performing these activities. So that, I suppose, is where these things meet. I have no idea what his answer would be, but this is where they meet. I read something about Robert Adams this morning, and it was, as soon as you are creating a situation where you are having to solve a problem or something like that, you're finished. You've slipped into having to defend something, apart from just when the I thought arises or the me thought arises, you question, you inquire into its nature, and then you go back into silence. Okay. And then this creates a habit from a few seconds of silence to stretched out silence.
Bravo.